The next important point is to design for change. Now, change is always constant, and it is bound to happen. Companies change their core values, their direction changes, there's always a pivot, because at the end of the day, it's all about survival. So what's going to happen is like the request that you got from your stakeholders today may not mean anything for them down the road, and it could be something different. So what does that mean in terms of designing the system? It means like you have to anticipate change in different areas of your pipeline. It could be that your volume will suddenly increase from 1 terabyte to 100 terabytes, or your concurrency goes from 2 writes per second to 50 writes per second or 100 writes per second. It could be that you may have more adoption for your data that you produced for analysis, and sometimes more employees or more folks in your company might want to access them. Sometimes you may share that information for revenue purposes to third parties, and so you're going to get more hits on your data. And so that's where the planning goes. So what does it mean to scale? You got to use the right systems. So here I have a diagram of a pipeline that is producing events at pretty much any scale that you want. In our case, I think I've capped it to 20 million events, but it can be changed to 100 million events if you want. And this is all running on my laptop though. So you can see that, but they're running on, so I've broken this down into like, remember I said, think about systems. So I have a monitoring part of it, which is kind of like the most important part of building the system is to measure things. That's why in your car, you have a dashboard, so you know what's going on. And then also like the data processing aspect, that is kind of like the engine of your system. It is really the stuff that actually does the real work. And then the storage is how it gets represented as an output from the system so that it can be accessed through various other sources. In my case, I have a data generation part, which is the one in pink over there. That is just for me to produce the data. But in the real world, that's going to come from an actual app that people are using, which sends events from client events, either from the devices, or it could be coming straight from your website, I mean from Chrome or from any browser that your clients are using. And so in this case, that is what I have. And then there's also the infrastructure in terms of like, what am I using? Where is this running on, like what type of platform it's running? What type of network is there on it? And those kind of things. And those are very important things in determining what the capacity of your system is going to be. So when you anticipate change and you think that down the road, there is going to be a 3x or 10x growth coming down the road, you as a data engineer are planning for that. So when you build something for, in this case, build for 10x, always plan for 100x. This is my third bullet point here. That is kind of like designing for the change. And that's an important mindset to have in mind. Thinking in systems, prioritizing the business value, and designing for change.